This news update is brought to you by
This is the 6 p.m. Barbados Day update for Thursday, June 12, 2014. I'm Kamar Jordan. Good evening. Another economic downgrade may be on the cards for Barbados. The island was recently slapped by a negative B3 rating by Moody's. Now, the international rating agency Standard & Poor's says it's eyeing the situation. Last November, S&P downgraded Bridgetown by 3 notches, and the Director of Sovereign Ratings, Richard Francis, tells Barbados Today the situation has not greatly improved since then. He says while the government has implemented several measures in its fiscal adjustment program, including the sending home of 3,000 public workers, he does not believe it's enough to rein in the country's wage bill.
We're monitoring more quarter by quarter to see, where the growth outlook is, where the fiscal deficit is coming in, and I think even one of the most important variables that we're looking at is the level of foreign reserves, because that's obviously a key element. If there's a fall in reserves, then that becomes a worrisome element. The government was also successful. It was relatively costly, but they were successful in getting some external loans back in December and also February, which should help the external position of the country.
Meantime, the Barbados Workers Union is urging the Employment Rights Tribunal to get down to work. General Secretary Sir Roy Trotman issued a call in a letter to the grouping as he raised concern that dismissed workers of the National Conservation Commission have been subjected to pain and suffering following their controversial layoffs back in April. Sir Roy, however, cautions that when the tribunal begins its work, it must do so with a clear understanding of its duties, and it must stick to the procedures set out by the legislation and the schedules underpinned by accepted industrial relations protocols and practices. He stresses that the role of the Chief Labour Officer must not be undermined in the discussions. The BWU boss says the union has been seeking talks with the Employment Rights Tribunal to set the stage for the meetings. A caution at this hour to employers to keep their eyes on their employees who are left behind when their co-workers are severed. Leading human resource official Roslyn Jackson says against the backdrop of rising levels of unemployment, companies must take the lead and ensure their workers are still motivated to get the job done.
Our attitude to employment engagement and leadership effectiveness and truly understanding their financial impact also need to shift dramatically. Because of the difficult and uncertain economy, retaining talent may seem easier on the surface. But, and I mean a huge but, keeping that talent motivated and performing well against a backdrop of redundancies, salary freezes, and other cutbacks make genuine engagement and leadership effectiveness exceedingly important.
Jackson was speaking at the Barbados Best Employers Award ceremony today. Globe Finance took the top prize among small enterprises, while RBC Insurance Company Limited won for medium-sized companies. To sports now, the World Cup has officially kicked off. Following the ceremonial opening of the much-anticipated global event, home team Brazil faced off against Croatia. Croatia scored the first goal off the boot of the Brazilian defender in the 17th minute. The home team replied with an equalizer in the 29th minute before the close of the first half. There's regional and international news after this short break.
My dad means everything to me. He's my friend, he's my pillar, he's my role model, he's always there. I'm celebrating my dad this Father's Day with Barbados today. So can you? Write a letter telling us why your dad is #1 to love at Barbados today.bb and get a chance to win a Samsung Tablet 3. Enter now. The deadline closes on June 12.
To news from around the region now. Who will govern Antigua and Barbuda for the next 5 years? That's the big question at this hour, as residents anxiously await the results of today's general election. Ballot counting at 164 polling stations across the island is on the way, under the watchful eye of several electoral officials. Today, the exercise was been generally incident-free. Supporters are gathering at this hour at their party bases to monitor the results as they come in. The election is seen as a straight fight between the ruling and the incumbent United Progressive Party and the opposition Antigua and Barbuda Labour Party. Both political parties are confident that they will receive the mandate of the people. On the international scene, thousands flee from Iraq as unrest heightens in the country. According to reports, over 500,000 people left the nation over the past few days as the militant group ISIS attempts to capture more cities under siege. The rebels have already taken firm control of Iraq's second largest city, Mosul, and they have made it clear that the capital, Baghdad, is next. The militants had an all-out fight for Titret, the hometown of the former leader Saddam Hussein, but the military got the upper hand. However, the country's foreign minister revealed that the army is collapsing under militant pressure. Well, that's been our 6 p.m. update. You can join us again at 7 o'clock tomorrow morning. Until then, you get a restful night. Then you wake up first thing and log on to www.barbadostoday.bb, or you subscribe to our e-paper or like us on Facebook to get more news and sports. I'm Kmar Jordan. Good evening, and see you again tomorrow morning.
This news update is brought to you by...
Hi, I'm Red Plastic Bag. Anyone who knows me knows I don't like cold. Sunshine reigns in my country. I love it.
Get your sun power.